Today we're going to be talking about 3 character concepts for the Phantom Rogue. Let's take a look. For those who don't know, the Phantom Rogue was one of the subclasses that was released with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. There were a lot of really cool subclasses, but the 2 rogue subclasses were the Phantom Rogue and the Soul Knife Rogue. Both of them I think were very interesting, but I think both of them kind of were difficult to flavor, or at least in my head. I can understand maybe like one picture for each subclass, but I kind of had a hard time in my head resolving how it would look if you wanted to play something other than just the most obvious character that was created for each one. Specifically, they have kind of a picture, one for the Phantom and one for the Soul Knife. And I was thinking, how could you maybe break out of that? So I decided to make 3 different character concepts for the Phantom Rogue and kind of how that would look / flavor. But before we do that, why don't we look over the actual Phantom Rogue abilities in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Hey, thank you so much for watching this far in the video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out so much. Thank you. So here I'm going to read the information that's given to you straight from Tasha's. It says Phantom, and at the top it says collecting the souls of your defeated foes and everyday objects. What a good idea, though I'd probably need an encyclopedia to hold all my anti-admirers. Very funny. Tasha, thank you. Many rogues walk a fine line between life and death, risking their own lives and taking the lives of others. While adventuring on that line, some rogues discover a mystical connection to death itself. These rogues take knowledge from the dead and become immersed in negative energy, eventually becoming like ghosts. Thieves' guilds value them as highly effective information gatherers and spies. Many Shader Kai of the Shadowfell are masters of these macabre techniques, and some are willing to teach this path in places like Thay in the Forgotten Realms and Karnath of Eberron. Where many necromancers practice their craft, a phantom can become a wizard's confidant and right hand. In temples of gods and death, the phantom might work as an agent to track down those who try to cheat death to recover knowledge that might otherwise be lost to the grave. How did you discover this grim power? Did you sleep in a graveyard and awaken your new abilities, or did you cultivate them in a temple or thieves' guild dedicated to deity of death? Again, the Phantom Rogue is obviously all about kind of ghosts. It's about death. It's about the macabre. It's a very spooky rogue subclass, which is good because the rogue is already kind of one of the spookier classes to begin with. But the thing that I think is interesting is kind of the trinket thing that's going to institute later on in this class. I will say that I really like the Phantom Rogue. I do, however, wish that they started this trinket business a little bit earlier in the subclass. You don't start to get your trinkets until level 9, and they seem to be a really interesting and cool part of the Phantom Rogue's feature. It honestly is kind of what I would build my character around, is having these trinkets. Let's read a little bit about this at the 9th level Phantom feature. When life ends in your presence, you're able to snatch a token from the departing soul, a sliver of its life essence that takes physical form. As a reaction, when a creature you can see dies within 30 feet of you, you can open your free hand and cause a tiny trinket to appear there, a soul trinket. The DM determines the trinket's form, or has you roll on the trinket's table. You can have a maximum number of soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while at your maximum. You can use the trinket in the following ways. While a trinket is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and constitution saving throws, for your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within the object. When you deal sneak attack damage on your turn, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets that's on your person, and then immediately use Wails from the Grave without expending the use of that feature. As an action, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask the spirit associated with the trinket one question. The spirit appears to you and answers in a language it knew in life. It's under no obligation to be truthful and answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free. The spirit knows only what it knew in life as determined by the DM. So from here on, the soul trinket becomes a pretty staple part of your rogue features. It's just interesting that it doesn't come until 9th level because, as we know, and it's been said many times, many campaigns don't go greater than 10th or 11th level. So it's frustrating to me. So what I would do is I would kind of change this a little bit. I mean, it really wouldn't take much to incorporate the soul trinket earlier on. Hey, this is Editing Room Gentry, just stopping by to tell you that I do a much better job of explaining how I would incorporate soul trinkets into earlier levels over on my TikTok, so go check me out at Gentry Perry. Okay, thank you so much. I love you. Bye-bye. I think that this would be something that would be important to implement in the earlier levels and then make great strides to say that your abilities are tied to this trinket, as this trinket features is going to carry you all the way until the end of what you're like. I think level 17 is the last ability that you get with your trinket. So that's what I would do. I would make all of the characters of the Phantom Rogue featured around these trinkets. Either that, or I would make it the opposite way and say that, yeah, you have ghost-like and phantom abilities, but you don't require the trinket. Maybe that's just a physicality that kind of comes as an after effect of your roguish and phantom features. It just seems like either you should go all in on it or you should take it away. It's very strange how it's implemented in Tasha's. But then essentially, as you continue to level up, you gain more ghostly features. At level 13, you get a ability called Ghost Walk, where you can kind of pass through walls, attacks have disadvantage against you, you become more ghostly. And then at 17th, you essentially, all of your abilities become increased. You can use your Soul Trinket ability more often, and you can use your Whales from the Grave. Your Whales from the Grave ability that you got at 3rd level is enhanced. So again, a really cool subclass, but I think it could just use a little tweaking here and there. So I'm going to be talking about 3 character concepts that I came up with. The first character concept that I can see with this Phantom Rogue would be a petty thief turned into a Phantom Assassin. I like the idea of things happening to characters that kind of transform them into these, what would you call them? Supernatural beings, because that's essentially what all D&D characters are. Here's the idea that I had. A person essentially is living their life as a petty thief, and eventually a courier comes up to them and says, hey, I have news for you. Your late father or mother passed away, and they have a special inheritance for you. Down on your luck and needing a little bit of the money, you decide, sure, I can do that. Again, if you're going through 1st level onward, this could even be part of the premise that gets you your subclass. Essentially, you could have just been a rogue beforehand, and now you've entered into 3rd level, and so your Phantom Rogue abilities are going to start appearing. So you go back, you visit the household. It's a very spooky house. It's very decrepit. If you wanted to, you could say that the will was divided up to different family members, but essentially this character ended up with one thing, and that was a small box. Or if you want to have a home base, you could say that this character inherited the house, and now the characters get a sweet home base. That'd be cool too. Essentially, the character would open up this box, however, and they would find a necklace with several jewels kind of lined around it. I see them as kind of like small green dangling orbs, and those essentially would act as your soul trinkets. As you kind of put this item on, and again, it wouldn't take an attunement slot or anything. This is all for flavor. This is where you start channeling your phantom abilities. And this could essentially, it could be a journey of exploration. Maybe the person starts gaining these phantom abilities, but they don't really know why, like where they're coming from, until eventually they do some more investigation and find out about this necklace. Here's the backstory that I think I would tie into it. I think it might be very interesting if the person who was a petty thief found out that their ancestry and their bloodline and their father was a group of assassins, spies, other phantom rogues, and now they are there to take on that name of the family. And essentially this would act as a way they could perhaps commune with different assassin members of their previous family. I think that would be a really great way to tie story into this very flavor-rich subclass. So that's kind of my first character idea. Again, as you grow on and you move forward as your character, you could decide maybe this assassin family that you come from, this bloodline is good. Maybe they're a benevolent force in the world, or perhaps they're super evil and they want you to do terrible things. I think that this could make for some really great storytelling, and there's a lot of ways that this could go. Perhaps eventually the character breaks the connection between the necklace and the ancestry so that they have these Phantom Rogue abilities, but they are not kind of cursed, I guess, with the thoughts and the feelings and the specters from their ancestral bloodline. I think another way that you could do it would be that over time, maybe they have difficulty harnessing this ability, and again, that's kind of why the level up feature happens. The more that they harness this ability, the better, the more in tune they get with this, the more they're able to utilize each one of the gems around the necklace, which would explain the proficiency bonus thing that increases as you level up. I think there's a lot of ways you could take that, but that's my first character concept. Concept number 2. This one, I will admit, is probably one of the more obvious implementations of the Phantom Rogue, but nonetheless, I still think it's a decent one. It could be a reborn who has no memory of their past life. So in this way, they essentially are somebody who is fixated on death, the departed. Perhaps they even serve or have have served a deity of death of one type or another. And over time, they're very good at sneaking around, but they are accumulating things. They have a knack for collecting objects off of the people who they've seen departed in front of them. It might be interesting to make them as a graveyard worker when they first start out as level 1, and then as they get to level 3, they start to note that they gain power from the objects that they collect from the departed people. And then as this character continues on, questions could arise. Essentially, if they went together with the party members, do the party members know that they were initially a undead being for all intents and purposes? Or perhaps they did know that, and they understand that the reborn has no memory of their past life, but then does that start to matter to the character? Over time, do they decide, hey, I should know what happened before. Why can't I remember anything? Why do I have this knack for connecting to the afterlife and to the departed? I think that could be a very interesting story over time. And again, I like tying the race into the backstory, character, and class, because I feel like that all should meld together into a cohesive story. You can obviously make it however you want, but I think that would be a really cool concept. Over time, they start to unlock more memories, more abilities, and perhaps they realize that they served a deity in their previous life. Or perhaps they had a touch from the negative energy plane, which again, that is baked into the lore of the Phantom Rogue. Maybe they were close to a portal at one point, or when they were a child, they touched something and it changed them forever. I think that would be an interesting way to flavor the Phantom Rogue. Character concept number 3. See, like, you can't really see it, but I got this shirt from Redbubble a little while ago, and it says, just roll with it. I like it a lot, and I've never sold one. So, I sold one because I bought it. This one I thought could be a shaman or a religious individual who has been taught rituals to contact the dead. I think that it would be interesting if they were in an isolated place when they start out as perhaps a level 1 or a level 2, maybe even a level 3. And as they continue on through the journey, they start to practice more and more the rituals that they were taught when they were just an apprentice. And over time, they start to master this ability. I think that the way that I would flavor it is maybe they were from an isolated location, such as a desert or a jungle, someplace where there's not a lot of information about, and they were taught rituals that were unknown to the world. They used words and names in a deity perhaps that is unknown to even the most extensive libraries. And so this ravels a lot of mystery around the character. Again, for whatever reason that they left their previous sanctum is up to the player. Perhaps there was a disaster, or maybe there was a plague, who knows? But either way, now they have this information from this isolated place and they're out in the world now. How are they going to resolve that? And who were they actually contacting when they were performing their ritualistic rites? That would be interesting. I'm gonna say interesting probably a billion million times throughout this video, so sorry. I think that would be a cool way to essentially give them a purpose for exploration in the world. They want to perhaps find out, what deity have they been worshiping this whole time? Why has nobody else heard of them? Where are the souls going after they release themselves from the Phantom Rogue? This could be a cool way to tie in maybe a race that you don't get to use as often, maybe like a lizard folk, those being kind of those extremely rational people. They have this certain ritual that they perform all the time because they believe that it actually is doing something for them. And it very well could be. You could have more animalistic races or something. I could see hybrids or some kind of lycanthrope. Again, just really making it so that the character who was in isolation was very set apart from the world for one reason or another. And sometimes race does have a factor to play in that. Sometimes it doesn't. That's up to the player, obviously. But I think that as they continue on through the world, they collect bones of the individual that they perform the rites on. Perhaps this could be as gross or as interesting as you want it to be. It could be teeth. It could be something as simple as, an artifact from the body. Maybe they just collect a sample of their clothes or cloth. And then perhaps they stitch that cloth together to create patches on a shirt or a robe that they wear, kind of instigating that feeling of, I'm collecting things that have been attached to others. And now as I move through the world, I take a bit of them with me. That would be a cool way of resolving why your Phantom Rogue acts the way that they do. But that's gonna be it for today. Maybe I will do a full character build on one of these in the future. If you want me to, leave a comment, let me know, what do you wanna see out of this channel? I love D&D. Obviously I wanna talk about it, but if you have specific things that you wanna see me talk about, I'm happy to talk about them. Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. You know how all that YouTube stuff works. It really helps me out. And the more action and activity that I get over here on my YouTube channel, the more I will make YouTube content. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck out there, adventurer. See you later.